Marine reacts to SCP-001, also known as When Day Breaks, Part 2, by SCP Illustrated. Now, as always, I'm going to be posting a link to the original video and channel down in the description below, so go ahead and make sure that you check them out. So just a quick recap on the Part 1, just so I have it fresh in my head, and someone who's watching this who hasn't seen the first one, who should watch it, because this is going to be a very confusing SCP, so it's really good that you have like a little bit of background. But just in case that you just happen to be on the Part 2 right here, I'll just go ahead and give you some background on the first one. So we know that it's not exactly the ultraviolet rays that are coming from the sun that is essentially liquefying people or living organism in general, and they're not necessarily dying either. They're still very much alive, and they seem to be combining with other meshy organisms that happen to come into contact. But they realized that it wasn't actually the sun directly, but that it was something with the light as far as the light spectrum. As you can see, this is really getting pretty confusing and complicated, which is why Part 1 heavily... It's probably best you watch Part 1 just to get a really good understanding. And then also one way that people are still able to travel, because I mean, as you can assume, there's not very many people. People have been taken to covering up their skin, covering up everything if they have to go out and venture out in the night. And people, in terms of being able to travel, they're typically were said in the video that they're covering their skin, covering everything, so that way they're not getting exposed to this type of light. They said that air travel is preferable. They said to avoid the trees areas, just because, you know, living organism, there's a lot of trees, don't want to be there, because it seems like these things are actively trying to get other living organisms to combine with it. And then at about halfway through the video, you see a story, kind of, you see it kind of go more into a tale. And we're seeing this scientist, and as of right now, she's trapped. They had a containment breach at the site that they're at, and that she's starting to hear the voice of her actual significant other. I wasn't really too sure in the relationship. It seemed like they were in a relationship, but we'll just say that for the time being. And then she's just continuously hearing this voice through the radio, I believe it was, of her significant other just telling her, hey, coming outside, you know, it's so beautiful, you really are going to just waste it down there. And at this point, you can kind of see why this girl's having a mental breakdown probably right now. Because she's, from what I was getting from that video, is that she's just completely surrounded. And then the very last scene, you see her just throw the radio on the ground, because they started to sing outside, and then it said that she just returns and cuts the feed. So we'll go ahead and see what Part 2 is going to be about, if it's going to continue to play off of this, or if it's going to go to a different location, maybe someone else's story. Never know. But before we get into the actual SCP video, don't forget to like, subscribe, it really does help me out a lot. Hit that notification bell right there, that way you get notified every time I do upload. Sometimes I'm uploading twice a day, typically working on them in the mornings and releasing them in the late afternoon to late evening. That way when you all get off work, you can enjoy these videos at your leisure. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and see what SCP-001, or When Day Breaks, Part 2 is all about.
Good day everyone, and welcome to SCP Illustrated, Entry Log 69. Today we're going to be exploring Part 2 of When Day Breaks. Now, same as before, expect some violence, blood and emotional scenes. Now, I won't keep you waiting any further, let's just get straight into this. The confidential data release of this SCP has been authorized by the following council members.
This is Agent Mosley from Site 14. For the benefit of everyone hearing this, don't go to Site 14. It's gone. We lost power last night and everything got out. The only positive thing to come out of it was that everything melted as soon as it got outside. We've lost all contact with the administrator. We've stopped receiving communications from Site 19. Every facility has gone quiet, except one. We caught a distress signal from Site 46 before things went to shit on our end. We're gonna go check it out. It's our nearest site. Vehicles will attract too much attention, so we're on foot. There's 5 of us left. I honestly doubt all of us will make it there alive. But it's the only place left.
A lingering paranoid sensation washes over you. You're being watched. You defensively dart your eyes about, though they take a second to adjust to the darkness beyond the monitor. The emergency light sweeps across the room, stretching and twisting the shadows beyond recognition. That's when you spot it. There, in the corner, coming out of the puddle. Time slows to a halt. A pair of hands coated in the lustrous black slime you followed through the facility are on either side of the sickening pool, as if something beneath the floor is bracing itself, trying to lift itself up. Something inhuman. The head comes next, rising from the muck. Matted hair conceals its face, plastered over it by the mystery fluid. It turns in your direction. It stares at you from the corner, which once again falls into darkness. The emergency light continues its journey across the room. It washes over the puddle again, revealing nothing out of the ordinary.
For some reason, I thought that was going to be the old man.
Revision 9, updated 986 days ago. Special containment procedures and description unchanged. Dr. Igota appears on the monitor. She's lost weight. Her eyes are bloodshot and wide. On the table before her lay a knife, a bowl, and a stack of manila envelopes filled with yellowing pages. Atop this stack is a blood-stained parchment.
Despite the things we have to deal with here at the Foundation, I've always believed we would be able to maintain control. We would hold the darkness at bay, let mankind flourish in the light. Site 19 stopped broadcasting last month. It's been getting harder and harder to find a reason to keep going. Especially without...
She grabs the knife, contemplates it for a moment.
I keep going over it again and again in my mind. The day back in the tunnels. Everything that happened, I've gone down there a few times, if only to hear her voice again. But it's wrong. The thing on the other side of the door, it isn't her. Not anymore. It sounds like her. It knows everything she knew, but it's not her. This light, it takes your body. It steals your mind. But what about your soul?
With this, she slices into the palm of her left hand and winces. You watch her clench her fist, draining her blood into the bowl.
If this works, if I can bring back something the light couldn't reach, I'll post an update here.
If this works, if I can bring back something that the light couldn't reach, I'll post it. Huh, interesting. I'm assuming that she was putting her blood into a bowl, but would that technically mean that see, here's one thing is that she's going to put the blood outside and see if that possibly will change. But I'm not sure that it would, because I don't think blood would technically be considered alive. I could be completely wrong as well,
For now, signing off.
Revision 4847 error. Updated 985 days ago. Item.
Perhaps.
Object.
Apologize.
SCP-001
Should not be contained.
survivors of the SCP-001 event stationed within secure facilities
Can never truly be with one another.
Personnel are encouraged to
get over themselves and stop thinking they know better. You can't hide down here forever.
Personnel exposed to SCP-001
Aren't people you can just abandon. I didn't ask you to save me. It wasn't your choice to make.
A euthanization is not to be attempted. Conductive electrical weapons have proven partially effective at immobilizing instances.
You couldn't stand seeing me better off.
Incendiary weapons
Tickle.
Cryonic munitions are the most effective thus far. Personnel stationed at Site 19
Have no regrets. Neither did I. It's never too late.
SCP-001 is a designation given to the Sun.
After we finally became free,
The effects are instantaneous, resulting
in a release from all suffering, until he ripped me away. These changes seem scary, I know.
Despite this restructuring, at no point,
Will you die? I promise.
due to their composition, instances of SCP-001-A that make contact with one another may combine and blend.
And finally exist.
This does not cause
Any pain.
Since the SCP-001 event, most instances have congregated into such collectives, which seem to possess no maximum volume.
Okay, real quick. Again, I could be completely wrong or reading too much into this. It's seeming to me, since this is the exact voice of the girl who was by herself from the part 1, is that I'm assuming that they're trying to imply that this is the same person, and that she's saying that after we finally became free. I mean, that might imply that, yes, they're still alive. And it would seem scary, right? Being turned into a gelatinous little blob. And it's saying that at no point you are going to die. So you're going to be restricted, but you still be alive. So it seems like, even though they do that, they just still have the innate wanting to have everyone be like this. Now, I know it affects all living organisms, so like trees as well and all that. But I don't know if they're also just specifically focusing on people. And it doesn't cause any pain, so it's not really hurting you, but could you really see yourself combining into a blob like that? I guess it just depends on whatever person that could be. I mean, and it's also showing how, look at the type of writing, the way he put it with the red and the voice changing. It seems to me like when this data was corrupted, it seems like the girl was already combined with whatever blob, and then is it possible that they're altering the file right now? That's why it's corrupted. I might be reaching really far right now, but this is just kind of like what I'm thinking, in a sense.
The resulting biomass is
Beautiful.
the component organisms will shift in and over and around and through,
And in and out and in and out and in.
limbs and bodies hold
Never letting go. Alas,
before deteriorating and being subsumed by another life form. Collective instances will locomote by trying to get close to you again.
Trying so hard. Let me in. Let me go back.
There's a video file attached. Opening it, you see that it presents the room you're in. The feed seems to be coming from one of the security cameras. Up in the corner of the room, it's dark, but you can just make out Dr. Igota lying on a pile of laundry along the far wall. She's writhing in her sleep. She seems tormented, hurt. She's tossing and turning and mumbling nonsense words. The camera shakes. It lifts upwards for a moment before it focuses on her again.
Okay, well, it turns out I was completely wrong because she's still right here. So then, you know what? Just scrap everything else I said. I mean, she's not obviously connected to the big blob now, so kind of just threw myself for a run, I guess.
It starts moving closer, slowly. The speakers come to life, picking up an airy, breathy static. As the camera moves closer to the Doctor, it becomes clearer, crisper. It's not merely white noise, but dozens, hundreds of voices whispering unintelligibly over each other. You lean in, press your ear almost against the speaker, trying to discern what it is that's being said. Something strange stands out amidst the discordance. Are you paying attention? This next bit is just for you. You're not quite sure what to make of it though. Looking back at the monitor, the camera has come to a halt inches away from the sleeping doctor. The voices stop. There is no sound. A hand, black and oily and skeletal, reaches out for her, brushes away a lock of hair. Her eyes shoot open, she recoils in shock. The feed cuts out. Revision 12. Updated 1 day ago. Special containment procedures and description unchanged. Dr. Igota appears before you on the screen, looking even worse for wear than when she did previously. Her hair is thinning, with large swathes appearing absent from the middle of her head. If they weren't reflecting from the soft glow of the monitor, you would have assumed she no longer had eyes, for how deep they'd recessed into her skull. She stares ahead unblinking.
She won't stop. She won't go away. I know. I didn't know. I didn't pick up an info. Full hazard. Browsing the archives. Tested myself for 4673 infection. Negative. 5189 is the only other one that uses print as a vector. Can't beat that. I still have all my fingers.
Her lips crack into a broken grin. She lets out a weak laugh and displays her trembling hands. What appears to be the mostly skeletal remains of a finger is embedded into the flesh of her left hand, in the stump that would have supported her natural ring finger. 2 wedding bands loosely encircle the digits, laying atop one another.
So, I'm not infected. I'm not, I'm not crazy. I know the ritual worked. I know it's really her. It's her and she...
Something catches her attention off screen. She cocks her head, listening.
No, I can't. You're not you. Not the same. Not you, it's not you anymore. No.
She begins rubbing her temples, repeating herself over and over again. A minute passes. She snaps her head back and addresses the camera.
It's her. But it's not. What I brought back. Still a part of one. There is no way. No way out. No way. There is no hope for a future for me. And God, I can't go on like this any longer. I'll be safe here. The light can't reach me. I won't let it take me.
She brandishes a handgun.
Was planning on using this till I found some leftover meds. Don't want to risk calling attention to myself, to my body. Mom, Dad, Ari, I'm sorry.
She opens the desk drawer and deposits the firearm. She raises her gaze, stares into the camera. She reaches forward and ends the recording. Did it have to end like that? You open the drawer and pull out the gun. You absent-mindedly turn it over in your hands for a moment, wondering where you'll go from here. Site 17, 64. Surely you can't be all that's left. The computer dings. There's been an update to the file. Current iteration updated 1 minute ago.
Saffron skies raise the blazing sun. A chance encounter, awkward displays. One day, my love, we'd be as one. With 2 entwined, a set course begun. That frenetic, wild, lustrous haze. Azure skies host the radiant sun. Above us beaming as we run. Down that aisle, a fervent craze. That day, my love, we became as one. With future unfolded, the life we'd won, commitment and duty for the family we'd raise, cerulean skies ferry the shimmering sun. Buried, shackled by fate, overrun by ever-growing resent and malaise. Yesterday, my love, we were as one. Now you lie here, the life in you gone, in the dark outside of her rays. Crimson skies bear the torch, our sun. Today, my love, we'll be as one.
Without your prompting, the page begins playing a video file. You freeze when the image loads. It's a live feed, looking down on you from behind, about a foot away. A skeletal, inky left hand enters the frame, approaching you at a snail's pace. It's missing its ring finger. Without a second thought, you turn and fire in a frenzy, hoping to drive off the spectre. Your bullets meet an empty wall. There's nothing there. A second passes before you hear it, before you hear them. Sloshing wet thuds coming down the corridor, accompanied by a chorus of screams. It slams into the door. Could there be a place to hide? It strikes a second time. What appears to be a face, part human, part something, dribbles in under the frame. Bits of flesh and God knows what oozes in through the sides and reconstitutes into fingers, eyes, feathers. A third. Now it's pressing up against the wood, causing it to sag inwards. With a groan and a crash, the wood splinters. The door explodes open. Hands and arms stretch out of the mass, pulling you up, passing you from one to the next, on and on down the line. They drag you past empty containment units, upwards through the stairwell, through the halls and towards the tunnel. You're afforded a few precious moments in the darkness, and at the end of the tunnel, there is light.
Real quick, let's talk about that for a minute. As you assumed, it's insanely complicated. Because I had to keep remembering as well is that the way this is being said is that the person is in this actual story or tale. So, it starts off with the person that I guess is supposed to be the reader going in and seeing these hands and then seeing this lady figure, which I'm assuming right now is Dr. Igota. I'm assuming because it was very heavy on, at least document wise, that she didn't want to be taken into the sun and be turned into one of those. And it talks about what it seems like is that you're in there, you're going through some of the recordings, some of the files, and it's saying that, so now it starts going back into what she was going through. So this wasn't happening at the same time like I thought it was, which means when she also cut her hand to draw some blood, I'm assuming she did something with maybe an SCP. But then again, they did say that they had, when they had the containment breach, they all ran out and that they just didn't, or that they just got transferred into the goo thing, like the blob. So, but then that's where the confusion starts to sit into, because then it's like at the end, who is the one who's actually, I mean, they did say that she was missing the ring finger. So was that Dr. Igota somehow? Was it? And then you got these files with the red writing. I don't know if this was just the way this channel did it, or if it's actually this way in the actual document yet. I'd have to read a little more. And a lot of this talk about a skeleton looking woman. I don't know if this is supposed to be Dr. Igota. She's still 100% alive, 100% okay. She just is not in the best of shape. Because they did mention how, oh, I played the video again. I'm actually going through the little video right now because I've had this habit where I'm just, things are going over my head or I'm missing something that literally they just said 10 seconds ago. So that's why I'm going through this. But they also showed a part about her with the handgun. They never really said that she used it. And then we got that poem at the end, which did not make sense to me. And then obviously at the end, doesn't end very well for this person. So, not a whole lot to say, mainly because it's just something that you're probably going to have to go through multiple times to really grasp the understanding, or maybe get some context. So if you do have any context that can help me with this, please comment that down below in the comment section. And that's going to go ahead and be it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, it really does help me out a lot. Dislike if you didn't like it, helps me improve the channel. If you're curious to see what videos coming up next, just check the description down below. There's going to be 5 videos, and you're going to see from top to bottom is how I'm going to be viewing them. But until then, I'll see you all in the next video.